I'd like to thank Mayor Eastern and Chief Perry and their staff for allowing us to be here today and for the partnership with the Illinois State Police over the last year. I would like to also acknowledge that in 2019, Governor Pritzker signed an executive order reestablishing the Illinois State Police Division of Criminal Investigation, in part to better our ability to seek justice for victims of violent crime and the various ways such crime occurs across the state. For example, a year ago in December 2020, I stood at the Jackie Joyner Kersey Center here in East St. Louis as we began an unprecedented partnership between state, local, federal law enforcement focused on bringing justice to the victims and families of East St. Louis, led by the ISP. Today, we are here to report that that effort, which was expanded to include new community partners, is making a difference. Case by case, victim by victim, violent crime is being investigated. Victims and their families are receiving support. Trust is being strengthened, and violent offenders are being held accountable. Since October 2020, over 20 Illinois State Police Public Safety Enforcement Group officers have worked side by side with East St. Louis police officers to provide community-based, trauma-informed investigations on all reported violent crimes in the city of East St. Louis, including murders, non-fatal shootings, aggravated batteries, carjackings, robberies, kidnappings, sexual assaults, and domestic violence. And while violent crime has spiked in some communities across the country, East St. Louis is seeing declines. Since October 20th, 2020, PSEG agents have opened over 389 investigations and assisted with scores of additional criminal investigations. For example, the number of domestic violence investigations leading to charges in the first year of PSEG increased by over 100% compared to the year before the PSEG initiative began. In the year before the PSEG initiative was launched, from October 19th, 2019 to October 18th, 2020, there were 41 homicides. From October 19th, 2020 to October 18th, 2021, there were 31 homicides, which is about a 24% reduction in homicide in the first year of the initiative. In 2020, there was a clearance rate of 40% of East St. Louis homicides. PSEG investigators have worked 20 murders and solved or cleared 11 of the 20 cases, which makes it a current clearance rate for PSEG of 55%. During the PSEG initiative, there's also been a reduction in non-fatal shootings. As of December 21st, 2020, there were 125 non-fatal shootings reported for that year in that period. As of December 21st of this year, there have been 110 non-fatal shootings for the year, which is a 12% reduction. Our belief in the PSEG model is simple and based on evidence. The best way for police to build trust and credibility with the community is by passionately investigating all violent crimes so victims and their families see that the police truly care about them. The people of East St. Louis have responded to PSEG by engaging with their officers in a way we simply haven't seen before. A critical part of PSEG's success is addressing the trauma that victims and victims' families experience when a violent act occurs. A child witnesses a shooting, a mother loses a child, or a classmate is killed. These unspeakable horrors have lasting effects today, tomorrow, and sometimes for generations. A justice system that is a justice system must address the trauma to heal the individual and the community. So PSEG and the East St. Louis Police Department have established relationships with community organizations who are playing a crucial role in addressing the trauma wrought by violent crime in the city. The Wraparound Wellness Center, the WWC, of District 189 provides trauma services to the children of East St. Louis who have witnessed or been victimized by violent crime. Before the WWC, no such full-spectrum trauma-informed programs were available here to children exposed to violence. For example, following a homicide this spring, WWC personnel responded to the crime scene, provided real-time trauma services to a 4-year-old child covered in a victim's blood. Another partner, the Community Lifeline Family Resource Center, provides trauma services to victims of violent crime and their families. Families who have a loved one who have been murdered can gather at the community center to meet trauma service providers as well as the investigating officers assigned in the loved one's case. Now, those meetings have forged strong relationships based on trust and respect between families and officers and connected grieving families with invaluable trauma services. Trust and safety comes not by law enforcement doing things for a community or to a community, but by doing things with the community. Now, that cannot be done without the support of leaders and the officers here, especially the Mayor and Chief Perry, and I'd like to introduce Mayor Bobby Eastern for his comments. Mayor.
Good morning. We can do better than that. Good morning. That's it. We're in the City of Champions, so we got to sound like champions. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's right. City of Champions. We always find a way to get done. So look, I'm very excited about today, but I'm going to give you a story here real quick, and I'll be brief because I know my time is limited. So May 1991, there was a man that was murdered. And on the scene of that murder, it was his 2 sons that came and was at his murder scene. And his murder was unsolved. And that murder devastated the family for quite some time. That man that was murdered was my grandfather. Those 2 people that was at the murder scene was my dad and my uncle. And his murder was unsolved. So fast forward to where we are now. Mayor, 2019, presented with an opportunity with the Chief of Police, Kendall Perry, and Director Kelly, PSEG unit. And they asked, hey, can we come in and partner to help solve some of these unsolved crimes and some of these violent crimes? I jumped at that opportunity because I didn't want one family to ever go through what I went through and my dad went through ever again. So we did that, and as Director Kelly stated, you can see the evidence of that. The crime is going down. These murders are being solved, cases are being solved, and we're doing that together. Can we all say together? Together. We're doing that what? Together. We're doing that what? Together. The East St. Louis Police Department and the ISP. We're doing this together. And that's what it's going to take for our city to turn around and to be the true city of champions, is to do it together. And I can't do that without my council people, and I see 2 of them sitting here right now, Councilman Kaysen, Councilwoman Parks, our city manager, in their absence, Councilman Dancy and Councilman Powell. You know, we're working together to change the city of East St. Louis. And that's the only way we're gonna get this thing done, is by being strong, what? Together. By being strong, what? Together. We're the city of champions, so we gotta do it from our diaphragm, together. This is City of Champions, and I'm proud to be the mayor of the city of East St. Louis at such a time as this. I'm proud to be standing here behind me with the East St. Louis finest. Give them a round of applause. Illinois State Police, give them a round of applause. Because we're gonna do this, we will do this together. Thank you.
Chief?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Chief Kendall Perry with the City of East St. Louis Police Department. I want to come here today. I'm going to be brief, just as the mayor said. I'm going to make it brief, but I am honored today to say that I'm the chief of this great city of champions. We have come a long way, but as I echo, we've come a long way this year, but we also have a long way to go. I thank my officers, I thank PSEG, and I thank everybody that knew that we were coming off of a time of what is considered the worst pandemic shutdown in the history of this country. My officers knew this, and PSEG knew it, what it was going to be, so we all dug hard this year, and we worked to try to get some of the outcome that we have today. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of every officer and every PSEG agent that stood with us. I want to thank the city manager, the council, and the mayor for having the faith in myself with the plan that Director Kelly and myself came up with to try to help the city out. I thank them for standing by me to make sure we can try to make this city better than what it was. And our goal this year is to always go harder and be better than the year before. So that's our plan for next year. We have an outstanding plan for not just the summer of 2022, but the year 2022. So as I said, we've come a great deal of a long way, but we also got a long way to go, and we're willing to accept that challenge. Thank you.
I'd like to invite the superintendent up as well.
Thank you, Director Kelly. On behalf of the Board of Education, administration, faculty, staff, students, parents, and community members, I want to first of all thank Representative LaToya Greenwood and Senator Christopher Belt for making this possible. Without having champions that support us in Springfield, this grant would not have become a reality. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. Also, I want to thank Director Kelly, the State Police Department, the city police department for being a great partner with the East St. Louis School District. You know, many of our students are impacted by adverse childhood experiences as well as adverse community experiences. And those experiences have a profound negative impact on their ability to focus on teaching and learning. So having this kind of support, this wraparound support for our students as they experience trauma in the community is extremely important, and it's imperative that we do this with fidelity. Well, when we received the grant, without a shadow of a doubt, I knew exactly who we needed to implement this grant, and that is none other than Dr. Tiffany Golson. She's the director of our Family and Community Engagement Center. She's a social worker by trade. She has a heart for children, and more importantly, or as important, she has a heart for this community. You know, other districts have tried to steal her away from us. The district where we both came from, actually, Champaign, they tried to steal her, and they also tried to get me back. But we are both committed to this community and to the students and to this work that we've embarked upon. So without any further ado, I want to introduce to some of you and present to others Dr. Tiffany Golson. She will talk to you about the implementation of the wraparound support services that we do provide for our students. Thank you.
Good morning still. I am Tiffany Golson. I'm the Director of Parent and Student Support Services for District 189, as well as the Director of the Wraparound Wellness Center and the Family and Community Engagement Center. One thing that I first want to thank Senator Belt and Representative Greenwood. They've been with me through this whole process, and my superintendent, Mr. Culver, who has helped me with implementation throughout. Most importantly, what Mayor Easter said about being together is the crux of the work that we're doing and how we're going to make a difference. So I'm going to read one little part, but as a school district, we already have the relationships with the children and their families. So it removes the traditional barriers in seeking help and support, like access, transportation, and stigma when someone is dealing with trauma and violence. So we do that in many ways. Probably the biggest way that where we work with Inspector Manns and the Illinois State Police, as well as the local police and the local fire department, is that we have the SOS team. Support on scene means we have a team that goes out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for any traumatic event involving a youth as a victim, witness, family member, bystander, or perpetrator. We also do work in the St. Clair County Detention Center, so we do have social work services there now. We try to do violence interruption work there because we know that those youth then come back into the community. So we put social work services in, advocacy services in. We allow them to talk about their traumas through music. So we have a music studio there. We have a library there. We have the Peace Warriors. So Peace Warriors have used Dr. King's nonviolent principles, and they have learned how to share their trauma stories to support their peers into creating more peaceful environments at school or in their community. We also have the Wraparound Wellness Center part, and what we do is fully wrap around our families and our students. So we aren't just on the scene during the crisis. We aren't just there at their house 24 hours later, which we are. We're at their funerals, and then we make sure we do the heavy work afterwards. Still reaching out when they're ready. A lot of times our families just need basic needs and hugs and prayers initially. Later they need counseling, they need resources, they need help finding things, and that's what we do. I don't know if she's here, but I have a mom here, and I just want to share her story a little bit because it really ties in all the work that we do. Is a perfect example. You all know of Mason Mitchell. He was the 3-year-old that was shot, his spine was blown out, and his kidney was blown out in a manhunt that Illinois State Police as well as the local police department had us on lockdown right around this area. Illinois State Police, some of them here saved that child's life, no doubt. And then Cardinal Glennon, who we have a partnership with, they called us to do the work and to help support families while they're in the hospital. We also supported the sibling that was in the car at school. And then with Community Lifeline, who's speaking later, we've worked together to she's provided the basic needs of helping getting the car fixed, gas cars to get to and from the hospital every day. Mason is still in the hospital, but we've worked with the mother to, thanks to Representative Greenwood as well, we've worked with the mother to get her out of housing, and now she is dropping off her papers for her new home that she will get the keys for tomorrow. So Marquisha, if you're here, let me know, but otherwise she will be here. But that's an example of we wrap around families and we support them with whatever they need, tying in counseling, supporting the family and getting the child transferred. Mason hasn't even come out of the hospital yet. It's been about 3 months. And so really providing those supports consistently and where they need. Having a trauma recovery model shows that building relationships is the most important, and it also shows when we work together as a team in this community to not only solve crimes, but also help the victims and the survivors so this isn't normal to them and to process it in a healthy way. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce Wivetta Granger. She's Executive Director. She's got a fan club here. At least one fan. That's her husband. He has to yell. So he's also an Illinois State Police chaplain as well, Reverend Kendall Granger. So with that, let me introduce his better half, Wivetta Granger.
Good morning, Director Kelly, Mayor Eastern, the City Council, the City of East St. Louis, to Senator Belt and Representative Greenwood. I am Wivetta Granger, the Executive Director of Community Lifeline, a nonprofit which was birthed out of the mission of New Life Community Church to connect the spiritual and the social. Community Lifeline and over 40 organizations joined together in a movement called Eastside Align to form a collective engagement to serve the East St. Louis community. Out of this program was birthed Lifeline, interrupting violence through engagement. After hearing the frustrations of families impacted by homicide in our community and an introductory meeting between Master Sergeant Jamie and Inspector Mann and the Illinois PSEG unit and the school district, I must say this collaborative effort understood the assignment, that we really desired change in our community, and in order for us to see that change, we had to work collectively together. We understood that family matters, that breaking the silence of the cycle of violence required the commitment to caring for the needs of families and children impacted by violence, whether as a victim, family member of a victim, or a witness. Working to bring PSEG investigators together with grieving families have built bridges and shown them that law enforcement really does care and they are committed to getting them the answers. One traumatic experience can change a family mentally, spiritually, and financially. Survivors of homicides, they need support groups too. We understood that critical de-escalation skills were needed in our community. Life-saving information and training was needed, such as stopping the bleed, CPR training, and anger management. We also understood that it takes the community to be engaged, that when the community sees something, that we must say something. And we understood that if we all work together, we can find answers and we can be a part of the solution of our community and de-escalating situations in our community. Again, it is an honor for Community Lifeline to stand with partnership with Illinois State Police, the school district, and this community to work to help solve homicides in our community and be a part of the strategic change in our community. I want to just give one shout out to Chief Perry. You are doing an excellent job in leading this community. He shows up, he speaks to the community, and he is very much involved. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve with you all in this group. God bless you all, God keep you.
Now I'd like to introduce someone who's very special, and I hope that you're all paying close attention. Carolyn Say is a mother, but she is the mother of someone who was taken from us too soon. And that's why it's important that I'm very honored that she's here today to speak to us about the very important work that's being done by PSEG and being done by the community. This is not just numbers, these are not just statistics, these are real human beings that suffer and hurt that we owe justice to. So, Ms. Say.
First of all, I would say good morning, and I would like to have a word of prayer from Pastor Granger as I begin. Thank you.
Let us pray. God, we thank you for your grace, your mercy, and your peace. We thank you for the comfort that you provide us as we go through life's ups and downs. We pray now that you would open up doors that no man can close, that we can continue to work together to bring healing and solutions to our community. We pray that you would be a part of everything that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Granger. To whom it may concern, my name is Carolyn C. I am the mother of Dwanique C. that was murdered on July the 31st, 2021 on 15th and Broadway in East St. Louis, Illinois. She was murdered, as I stated, on July the 29th. And she has two children, Shamaya, she's 26, she's in the audience, and Shalexis, she's 22. And we're saddened as we approach the holidays. And it's been real rough, but I just holding on every day, counting it as a blessing. She was 44 years old, and she left us with a hole in our heart that we will never probably to get over. But with the help of my pastor and my family members, we're holding on. And first of all, I want to give a special thanks to the Illinois, first the East St. Louis Police Department, the Illinois State Police, and the PSEG for helping us to be able to go along with what we have lost. Within 24 hours, they have the suspect in custody. So that's a kind of a grief for us to have to share. But it's a challenge. We got a long way to go. And that was my only child, and it's been rough. But I'm gonna hold on to my faith, and I know through this, God's gonna be in the midst of it. And I just want to say that I'm grateful and thankful for her just being here in our life 44 years. She was a lovely person. She loved her family. She loved everybody. She treated everybody fairly. And we really going to miss her. And these holidays, it's been a hard time on us. But through it all, we're going to be okay. I'm a little kind of disturbed, but my heart is kind of uplifted because without the East St. Louis and the Illinois State Police and the PSEG, I don't know how I could have made it. And right after my daughter was murdered, on 2 days later, my granddaughter, which is her daughter, was shot. So it was a lot going on at that time. And thank be to the Lord that Madison County, they have the suspects in custody. And I'm grateful to them as well because I couldn't even go make the arrangements for my daughter because my granddaughter was going through a lot. So with them working with us, it was a challenge. But through it all, we made it through. And she's in the artist now. She's doing better, but she got a lot of recovery to do. And I thank him for that. And the Lord has been really working with us through all of this. And it's very emotional to have to go through without your daughter. But she's with us in spirit. And I just thank him because I just don't know what I would do without her. It's hard. It's easier to be done than said. And when it's in your shoes, it's kind of rough. But I'm grateful and thankful for the support that I have been given. And through it all, we're going to be okay through this all. And I just want to just share the emotional thoughts that I had. But I just hearing so much about what was going on. And, with my case, it's a little bit different. There was a lot of unsolved crimes in the city of East St. Louis, and they, are working their best and unsolving it. And I want to just thank you, and thank you. And I'm going to be forever grateful when the time comes for judgment. And I just want to say I'm just overwhelmed from the support. And without the support, I couldn't have done it. And I just want you to appreciate it, that I'm more grateful, and I'm hurting inside, but it's going to be okay. And I thank you.
Well, as I've said, this is, as everyone has said, this is something that we have to do together, and we can't do it without the support and the active and aggressive engagement of the prosecutors of this area. It's my pleasure first to introduce for some brief comments. I know he doesn't want to talk at all, but he's going to anyway, just for a few minutes because of the role his office plays. Same for the gentleman after him. So with that, let me introduce my friend, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Illinois, Stephen Weinhoff.
Good morning. In 2017, in December, a number of us who are in this room remember meeting up in the chief's office when we began a new violent crime initiative. And the primary purpose of it, in its first step, was to establish and to ensure a coordinated law enforcement response to the violent crime epidemic that plagues this area. A year ago, those efforts were supplemented with unprecedented support by the Illinois State Police and the establishment of the Public Safety Enforcement Group. And you've heard this morning a little bit about those results. And the next step in those violent crime efforts that began a year ago was to go beyond a coordinated law enforcement response and to ensure a coordinated community response. And the community component is so critical because law enforcement is not something that you can do to a community. It is something you must do with a community. And the trauma services and the trauma interventions that have been discussed this morning are a critical component and part of this program. And that's really for two reasons. One, victims and witnesses and those exposed to violence themselves need services. But equally important, studies show that those who are exposed to violence are disproportionately likely to become in violent activity themselves. And we can investigate, solve, and prosecute every crime that occurs, and of course we should do that. Vigorous law enforcement is important, it's critical. But if all we do is investigate and prosecute cases, we're missing the bigger picture. The trauma interventions are designed to break the cycle of violence because we don't want to just prosecute the next case, we want to prevent the next case. And so I'm proud that the United States Attorney's Office is associated with this effort. I'm proud of the efforts of the Illinois State Police. I'm proud of the efforts of the East St. Louis Police Department and all that has been accomplished to this point. And I look forward to our continued support as we continue to go further and we continue to dedicate every resource we have to fighting this violent crime problem. Thank you.
I think the role of the U.S. Attorney's Office is absolutely important, but the heavy lifting when it comes to prosecution, particularly in this area, has always been and continues to be with our outstanding partnership with the St. Clair County State's Attorney's Office. So with one caveat, knowing that he is my son's former Little League coach, and I give him complete credit also for the fact that he can throw an 85 mile per hour fastball now as a pitcher. You're going to take complete credit for that, State's Attorney. But let me introduce my friend and the State's Attorney of St. Clair County, Jimmy Gomrick.
He didn't tell you about all the times that I wound up getting ejected from the games based upon my inabilities. I am Jim Gomrick. I'm the state's attorney for St. Clair County, and I'm proud to be your state's attorney. I want to spend just a second to wish you and all of yours a happy holiday season. I hope it's blessed and peaceful. Director Kelly, at the beginning of our gathering, discussed some of what I would describe as the limited successes associated with all of our efforts. I pondered on what I would say just now. My focus is on the work that remains. The work that remains. Because it's our community. And it's a community that we all love and care about. I'm not going to quote John Donne, but it is true that a loss of any of ours, whether it's from this life or by way of victimization of any type, is a loss to each and every one of us. It truly, truly is. I began my task as your state's attorney almost 3 years ago when Mr. Kelly became the director of the state police. I was honored to do so. And I knew that certain aspects, I knew all of the aspects of my task would be arduous. One thing I really didn't appreciate when I became your state's attorney was how much it would hurt in my belly when I would get news of some of the events that we're here about. And guess what? Each and every one of these folks that's gathered here today harbors that same feeling. Why? Because each and every one of these folks knows that it is our community. And it's only by way of having an appreciation for that fact that we can make all of us better. I hope and I pray in the days, months, and years to come that the younger people of our community feel and see hope, come to a sense that they have a future that's worth living. Because I think a lot of what we see is born out of a lack of hope. We can do better, and we will do better. The work is hard. The task remains. We have attained good works together. PSEG, Illinois State Police, the good folks of the East St. Louis Police Department, all of our other folks who've gathered today who support each and every one of you. The task remains. None of us, not one of us, is ever going to retreat from that task, and we will never surrender. God bless each and every one.
Now I'd like to introduce not just a representative, but a leader in the House who works tirelessly on behalf of this community and particularly the children of School District 189, Leader LaToya Greenwood.
Thank you, and good morning. Today is about partnerships and understanding specific areas to properly address the needs of our community. Recently, Governor Pritzker signed the Reimagine Public Safety Act and declared gun violence as a public health crisis, confirming what many of us who have been living in communities of high crime for decades have known. I'm incredibly proud of the work that our community organizations have done in offering a wide range of services and resources to families experiencing challenges. But we all know that to address the root causes of violence, it requires both investment of time and money. And I have been a strong advocate of funding these organizations to continue to see the short-term and long-term implications and impacts. Initiatives like East St. Louis School District 189's Wraparound Center that targets students and families in crisis that will receive an additional $1.4 million to continue to facilitate engagement in after-school programs which specialize in violence prevention, trauma services, and other related supports. And the work that has been led by Dr. Tiffany Golston has truly been life-changing, community-changing. As a lifelong resident of East St. Louis, I thank our mayor, Mayor Robert Eastern III, and our city council, our police chief, and the East St. Louis police officers for their work and dedication in keeping our community safe. I thank Director Kelly and his staff for always providing support wherever we need it. Director, you always answer the call. and all of our community organizations that are on the ground doing the work, I thank you. It is because of these relationships that we too can begin to reimagine public safety right here in our own community, East St. Louis. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce someone who's been a champion of the Illinois State Police and of this community as well, helping to fund an additional state police presence here in East St. Louis. That's the senator for this area, Senator Chris Belt.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Make no mistake about it, this is a wonderful, wonderful day for East St. Louis. Anytime you can reduce or solve crimes, it is a wonderful day for that municipality. And make no mistake about it, this is great. This is tied to the revitalization and the renaissance of East St. Louis. Yeah, go ahead. Real quickly, we've heard community, we've heard collaboration, and we've heard trauma. That's been the theme, that's been the undercurrent of everything that we've talked about that was said here today. And let's delve into it really, really fast. Community and collaboration. We know that most crimes are solved from tips from the community. Community and collaboration. Here's what we also know, that the community and collaboration must exist in the form of preventative crime measures. And that's where our non-for-profits like Community Lifeline, our school districts, like 189, they can come in and they help us with the trauma. There's a saying that hurt people. And so we have to break that pipeline. Look, it's simple. We understand what trauma looks like when it's in a soldier in some far, far away land. When they come back from their tour of duty, we can get them help. We know what it looks like. But we struggle when it's domestically grown, so to speak. We have kids, we have babies that are growing up in warlike situations, and they don't have a tour of duty to come to get away from. And so Dr. Jared Conrad, who's from East St. Louis, coined the term, instead of post-traumatic stress disorder, he called it persistent traumatic stress disorder. It's persistent because there's no tour of duty, there's no extracting yourself from it, you're here in it. And until we get a hold of it, like the trauma center and deal with the trauma, it's going to manifest itself. And trauma, when it's not dealt with, manifests itself with depression and substance abuse that ultimately leads to crime. And so we have to get in front of it. We have to put the money in it. When I'm in the General Assembly, I don't want to hear about an unfunded mandate when it comes to dealing with trauma and crime, because you're going to pay for it one way or the other. You're either going to pay for it by being proactive, putting money into kids to deal with the trauma, or you're going to pay for it on the back end. It's up to you. And so today is a wonderful day. I thank God for the work that the East St. Louis Police is doing, and the ISP and Director Kelly. Thank God, and God bless you all.
I feel like I'm hosting the Oscars here. That's the last person, I swear. I do want to make one final comment about the men and women who do the work every day. The men and women who serve in the Illinois State Police and work with their partners in the East St. Louis Police Department, frankly, all law enforcement. It is an incredibly challenging job that they have. Every one of us, whatever walk of life we come from, we are all seeking justice in some form or another. But we have to remember that there is no justice without the law, And there is no law without law enforcement. And there's no law enforcement without the brave men and women who serve in law enforcement, in the Illinois State Police, in PSEG, in the East St. Louis Police Department. The PSEG initiative, under the morally and physically courageous leadership of Illinois State Police Inspector Nick Manns, is not only providing a benefit to the people of East St. Louis, but serving as a model for other communities who want to break this cycle of violence and trauma. Recently, an incident demonstrated the humanity of these officers and their commitment to the East St. Louis community and the toll that it takes on their hearts and their minds and their souls every day. They played a critical role in the life-saving events when they saved a 3-year-old who was shot by an AK-47 during a mass shooting on September 9, 2021. The child was brought by these officers, by his mother, and they performed life-saving measures while rushing the child themselves personally to a hospital in St. Louis. These men and women of the Illinois State Police and PSEG and the East St. Louis Police Department, they care and are committed to the people of this community. I am so proud of every single one of them, not just as their director, but as a husband, as a father, as a citizen of this state. East St. Louis is a city of champions, as the mayor said repeatedly, with proud and loving families who deserve to live and work and play in peace. Those who serve in the Illinois State Police are, by law, conservators of the peace. So, in the words of the angels to the shepherds on Christmas, glory to God in the highest, and on earth, peace, goodwill towards men. With that, if we haven't said everything already, we'll take whatever questions you have. We'll start with Andy Banker, local boy.
What's the amount of the grant that funds this, and how long will it continue?
I'll find the numbers for the grant that's going to the wraparound services. Is that the particular grant you're talking about? PSEG is part of the Illinois State Police budget. That's not even a special grant. That's a decision we made in terms of prioritizing violent crime.
What's the plan for the length of, I mean, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years?
So this is a 5-year process, initial 5 years that we've committed to, and our goal is to help leave behind us as we get the right fuel mixture between the East St. Louis Police and the Illinois State Police to stand up some of the best practices that the Illinois State Police have in terms of record systems, in terms of evidence handling, in terms of investigative procedures, and build that steady partnership and those standards with the East St. Louis Police. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. This. That's exactly how you do it, what we're doing here today. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
When you see the number of homicides drop from year to year, I mean, sometimes that happens. What, you know, just the normal course of things, it's higher, lower, 1 year or another, circumstances beyond your control.
Sure.
What's the circumstances that are in your control that you think may be driving those numbers down? Is the word out on the street that maybe you can't get away with this anymore? Or do you think that's...
I think all of those things help. There is no magical wand you can wave when it comes to the issue of violent crime. It's a whole host of things that all have to come together, and that's, I think, essential to what we're saying here, is solving those crimes that occur, making sure there's a consequence for it. That sends a deterrent message, but also doing the work of what PSEG does in handing the victims and the family members of victims, connecting them over to those services, those wraparound services, so that the trauma is not repeated. Someone who maybe is a young man whose brother, father, cousin, who was murdered maybe in front of them, they are obviously going to be predisposed because of that trauma to repeat that violence. It's the human condition. It's human nature. If you can intervene with these services and help to heal that trauma, you gradually, inch by inch, are reducing the chances of that violence occurring. It's enforcement of the law coupled with these type of efforts that will help people to break out of that cycle. It's all those things together. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.